Now, if political will and government obligation are forces which result to community development, art, culture, and entertainment have even done better in this domain. It is increasingly becoming common to find celebrities in the entertainment world stretching themselves out to the community, providing help with basic needs. These resources, to some extent, are tapped from proceeds of their artistic works. Name them: music, dance, fashion design, performance art, and the list can continue. There are many dance competitions going on around the world today. Amongst these are the ones that are aimed at providing social development to the community, just as what we have described above. The Dance with Our Columbus Stars is such a project. Votes for the contest go to support the Byron Saunders Foundation that gives thousands of Thanksgiving meals to needy families in central Ohio. Now, Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis is a contestant at this competition, but she doubles as an intellectual and varsity down. She is a white collar professional who loves dancing, but sees the art beyond just having pleasure from practicing it. To her, dancing could be a vehicle to drive social development to communities. On the show today, she explains this further and tells us how she became one of the contestants at the upcoming Dance with Our Columbus Stars competition. She will be providing information on this upcoming event. And of course, she'll be telling us about her involvement in community development. And so that is our topic in today's edition of Apex Snapshots on Apex One Radio. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to this fresh edition of the show that is reaching you live from the studio of Apex One Radio, situated at the northern part of the city of Columbus. Our guests will be joining us right ahead in this edition of the show. And like I mentioned earlier on, she is a university down who dances. Let us look at both sides of Joy Kounns-Lewis in this edition of the show. Once again, thank you for joining us on APEC One Radio. I will be back with Don't Go Away. All right, so we'll come back to that information. Time for us to kick off with the show proper. And like I mentioned earlier on, our guest in today's edition of the show is Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis. She is a university professor. She is an intellectual, but of course, she dances, and she will be part of the 2021 edition of the Dance with Our Stars in Columbus. Well, let us have our guests on the show so we can start this conversation and know more about her. At exactly 24 minutes to 5 here in the studio of Apex One Radio, she now joins us. Good evening, Dr. Joy. How are you doing today?
Good, very good. Thank you, Ernest. Thank you for this opportunity to be with Apex Radio. It's an honor to be here this afternoon.
It's our pleasure to have you on the show as well. And like I mentioned earlier on, you are an intellectual, you are a university down who also dances. It's rare to find to find such people. I know that people do, people have hobbies, but it's difficult for a lot of people to expose theirs to the extent to which you are. Once again, thank you so much. Welcome to the program. We'll start by asking you to introduce yourself so that those who haven't come across you will have the opportunity to do so.
Okay. Thank you so much again for this opportunity. My name is Joy Lewis. My Filipino last name is Lagunzad. I am originally from the Philippines.
Okay.
And one thing that I would like to emphasize, actually, I work for a nonprofit organization as a
Mhm.
vice president of
Okay.
human resources and risk management.
Mhm.
That is for the Children's Hunger Alliance in
Okay.
here in Central Ohio, and we cover the entire state. Just on the side, I teach for about four universities right now. I'm
Wow.
active, very active with Excelsior College
Mhm.
and Davenport University, Strayer University, and I was with Keller School of Management.
Mhm.
The courses that I teach are predominantly human resources management.
Okay.
That includes employment, talent acquisition, compensation and benefits,
Mhm.
employee relations, and right now, diversity and equality and inclusion, equity
Mhm.
and inclusion, basically. So, pretty busy. And one of the things, I'm originally from the Philippines. I'm the
Mhm.
eldest of 11 children.
Oh wow,
My
that's
late
interesting.
father was a medical doctor.
Mhm.
And so I have about, from the 11, four brothers and sisters who
Mhm.
are two sisters and two brothers who are medical doctors as well. So I
Mhm.
had to take my PhD to somehow be at the level of my siblings.
Mhm.
And I have another brother who is a nurse and a sister who is a nurse. So pretty much in the medical field.
Wow.
And my husband is a clinical audiologist and
Mhm.
he's a lawyer as well. So we have this very career oriented family. And one of the things that I do, and like what you mentioned, Ernest, is having uh, having involvement in the community. I'm also currently, I assume the executive director position with the Asian American Commerce Group
Mhm.
here in Central Ohio, and we have extension to other cities like Cincinnati and Cleveland and Dayton, Toledo. But our focus is here in Columbus, Ohio.
Right. Right. Let me take you back to the Philippines, where you probably would have grown up. Tell us a bit about that country. Tell us about your life as
Yeah.
a young child growing up there. What are some of those memories you would always want to recall?
I was always a dancer. I love to perform.
Okay.
When I was a young child, and at the
Mhm.
same time, I was already pretty entrepreneurial. Even at the age of 5 or 7, you'll see me just like here. You have those in a corner. You sell lemonade or something. So I always have loved to make my own money since I was young,
Wow.
since I was a young kid. Growing up, s- I was very fascinated with how can you really help people in their livelihood, give them
Mhm.
employment. So that's how I got into human resources or personnel at that time.
Okay.
Because I was always fascinated in how I can make a difference on people's lives by really helping them get jobs or
Mhm.
helping them get better in their lives, just even getting better as a person.
Mhm.
So I went to school. My elementary or grade school, middle school were in the Philippines. My high school was in the Philippines. And so was my undergrad, which was Bachelor of Science in Psychology, Industrial Psychology. I've always fascinated again with business, entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
So after that, I graduated from Far Eastern University in the Philippines for my undergrad, which
Mhm.
was again Bachelor of Science in Industrial Psychology. Then I proceeded to I got a job right away. It's interesting. I was just about probably one semester more, and I
Wow.
started interviewing, and I got right on uh, HR or personnel at that time. And I started in training and development, and I love to train. So I will get into the courses, even from orientation, orienting new employees to developing supervisors and management in their management or supervisory skills like planning, organizing,
Hmm.
leading, and controlling. So after that, again, not even I was not even done with my college. I got a job with an engineering company
Hmm.
uh, in the Philippines, and we deploy actually employees to Saudi Arabia at that time, to Middle East. So I was already very active in trying to in training them and sending them abroad, and where we have construction projects. S- Then after that big job that I had, I always want to help people and not really expecting anything in return.
Right.
One day, a young woman asked me if I could help a group of women for team building. And I said, sure, no problem. At that time, I was very trained in, well trained already in team building. So
Hmm.
I trained this women without expecting any compensation, anything in return. Lo and behold, I didn't realize that the woman who approached me actually was she was the wife, and she was actually executive vice president of a big mining company.
Wow.
And so she called me one day and said, hey Joy, do you want to do you want to work for us, and just name your price, name your whatever compensation just for you to join us. So at that time, I don't really know what I really wanted. I just wanted a better paying job,
Hmm.
more opportunities to get trained and again help people develop. So I gave her what I thought was already, a big ask, and she doubled what I was asking for, and even
Wow.
gave me a car at that time. She just trusted me and knew that I wasn't really trying to I mean take advantage of her being a good Samaritan, and really I felt so good because she trusted my skill set. She
Hmm.
that I can really help them. So I joined them. That was a Vulcan Mining Corporation, a mining company, as human resources manager. And I just rose from the ranks. And then my family here wanted me to join them here in US,
Okay.
originally in Cleveland, Ohio. Prior to that, I did take completed my master's degree in industrial psychology and industrial relations. I was mastering, specializing in human resource management already by then, So I completed my master's degree in the Philippines. And then after that, again, I had a very good job. I couldn't even leave that job, but my family's conviction and convincing of me say,
Hmm.
okay, I'll try, and I'll come to United States. And I like it then, and I didn't even go back after the first, because I started getting a job. I always like to work. I find work as not work. I find work as fun.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, people now are asking me, "Hey, when are you going to retire?" I'm like, "What? Why should I retire? Why- I will be. I'm a type of person. I'm very active, and I like to be busy. I like to do something that really makes a difference. So I don't see myself, unless my body already probably gives up,
Hmm.
retiring. I love being active. So that's basically again a little a brief history about myself
Hmm.
and what I'd like to do. I really it makes it. I don't have to even get paid. My payment is that I'm making a difference on others, on
Hmm.
other people's lives.
What a philanthropic mindset. Uh, I mean, her goal is not to get paid, but to serve the community, and she's doing that. You know, her name is Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis. She's live on Apex One Radio. The show is Apex Snapshots. The edition is the one of today, the 26th of September 2021. Before we continue, I know you just said earlier that you were in charge of management where you worked. Quickly, briefly, just tell us what this would mean. What would risk management entail?
Which means that I have to ensure that our employees, our staff are
Okay.
safe, and our company is safe from being sued, safe from injuries and illnesses, and making sure that we have enough coverage as far as property and casualty is concerned
Mhm.
for the entire organization and the agency. So safety and ensuring that they're risk free,
Mhm.
um, and again being legal risk free as
Mhm.
well.
One of the risks which you might not have anticipated, which is not your fault, scores of other companies around the world did not, is COVID-19.
Yes.
So when it hit, how did you feel as a risk management expert?
Well, I put policies together actually, when we got hit by COVID, when like March 20th, when everybody, when we were told to shut down and everything. One thing though, because I work for Children's Hunger Alliance,
Mhm.
we are considered essential. So, which means that we have to come to work
Mhm.
regardless, just like the healthcare.
Mhm.
And we had to distribute meals to hungry children. There were more hungry children because there were no schools,
Mhm.
so we had to really deploy, including from my CEO to myself. We had this big warehouse where we pack meals, and we had asked for volunteers to help us. We asked for the community to help us. Now, then, talking about my role as a risk management, again, I had to put policies together. Some of our employees who were coming to work was made sure I made sure that those who can stay home stayed home,
Mhm.
and except for those who are, of course, distributing meals. We certainly made sure that everyone wears masks. At that time, of course, there was no vaccination yet. We sanitize, we
Mhm.
wipe all office counters, and we oriented them and trained them on how to recognize. We were taking temperatures too when they come to work. So a lot of procedures, safety procedures, so that, again, to prevent anyone from getting COVID-19.
Mhm.
So safety, health, and wellness was the top of our priority when, of course, COVID hit,
Right.
and then remote. So I even created a way for managers and supervisors to assess productivity
Mhm.
while our staff or our employees were working from home.
Right. Let us talk about your experience in the higher education milieu. You teach in four different universities. You just mentioned that earlier. Uh, what does it entail? What do you go through on a daily basis? How do you find that experience, and for how long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been doing it for probably about 10 years now.
Mhm.
I was actually with the University of Phoenix. So back in 2005, where we had a major restructuring, where I was working then for a public organization,
Mhm.
2007, I would say, 2005. And so then in 2007, I started being an adjunct faculty because I already started my PhD. As a matter of fact, I was in the middle of my PhD then. So
Okay.
we had a campus, the University of Phoenix, which is famous for having online courses, degree courses,
Right.
had a campus here in Columbus. And so I applied as an adjunct faculty. I was teaching some business courses, but focused on human resource management.
Mhm.
Then they had an opening for the chairperson for the undergraduate business program. So I applied and I got the job, and I really, really loved it. But
Mhm.
because again, my field is in human resources management, mostly in corporate, so I had to switch back. And of course, the pay and benefits are really better if you work in corporate human resources. But I love to teach, so I continued to be an adjunct faculty, if I was even if I already got an employment with, at the time, with the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority as a human resources director. So I continued to teach, and I I was employed as an adjunct faculty for Excelsior College and Davenport University at the same time. So I would do it late at night. See, it's asynchronous, which means that you can get in and out of classes same as the student, as long as you are in touch with them. And it takes, so we have discussion questions,
Mhm.
papers. One thing, because it's a graduate human resource management uh, graduate program, that's
Right.
basically most of my assignments. So there there were a lot of discussion questions, a lot of practical applications, where they work or where they can apply human resources management, in papers every weekend. There is a requirement for at least uh, 2 to 3 pages of paper every weekend.
Right.
The grading is such a grind, of course, but that's how they get feedback. That's how they learn. So it's pretty much structured already. I mean, they have all the modules, the modality, and the tools that you need so that you can teach or facilitate the course to the students.
Wow.
And so even up to now, I one college that I'm very active is Excelsior College, just
Mhm.
because it's really not realistic to teach with other three, and I only take now once every 6 months teaching with a college like Excelsior for now,
Mhm.
where I have an assignment.
She does many things. She teaches in the university, in the college. She also does human resource in an organization. But Dr. Joy looking Coons Lewis also finds time to dance. And talking about dancing, she's a contestant at an upcoming dance competition here in Central Ohio. We will be talking about that shortly on this program. Just to let you know that we're broadcasting from the United States of America. Thank you so much if you are just joining us. It's exactly 6 minutes to 5 here in the studio. Doctor, you're going to take a very short break. Time for us to
Sure.
do some music from this end. Then I will be right back with you.
Oh, certainly.
Mm. Salatiel in that scintillating piece of music, the title Anita, music found in his Africa with a Difference album, music which has brought the time to 3 minutes to 5 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. We're broadcasting live from the United States of America. It's Apex Snapshots, the edition of the 26th of September 2021. And we are receiving on the show as guests in this edition Dr. Joy Kounns-LEWIS, who is a civil society actor. She is also lecturer in 4 different universities. And of course, she is a dancer. She's telling us about her life and, of course, her role in the upcoming Dance with Our Columbus Stars at exactly 3 minutes to 5 here in the studio for Personal Edition. Now joins us once again. Welcome back, Dr. Joy.
Thank you.
All right. So, you are very involved in community development from the social angle. You seem to be involved in charitable and charity works. You know, first of all, tell us, where did this interest come from?
Well, again, coming from a third world country, we know that in my country we have a lot of people that need help. Now, I come to United States, there are more people that need help here. And
Right.
working again for a nonprofit organization, the Children's Hunger Alliance, we never felt more needed than this time during the pandemic time.
Mhm.
Then I was approached by the Byron Saunders Foundation, and they are also in the hunger space.
Mm.
And when I was asked initially, because I already work for a nonprofit organization that's in the hunger space, I said, why should I do that for them?
Mhm.
But I thought, being here in United States, I just have so much to thank for. And I feel so blessed
Mhm.
with what I have accomplished, what I have done, and why should I not do it?
Mhm.
Why should I not? I was given the opportunity to be able to help feed families during Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And to me, after so much thought about it, it's better than Christmas, better than Kwanzaa, better than, all the other holidays that we celebrate. This is a Thanksgiving time. And just imagine families. There are families that who may not have food to eat. So when I was asked, I said, I really would like to take this opportunity to give, also to share that opportunity to others. I have this opportunity to be able to help feed families, provide them meals during Thanksgiving.
Doctor, if you don't mind, let me interject. Yeah, you just said something that caught my attention, that you are blessed to have found yourself here in the United States. That is the same impression a lot of people out there, including your country, have. They know that while you are in the United States, you are blessed. But now, this is very contradictory. You are in the United States, yet you are in the hunger milieu. You are helping people who are hungry. So the question is, how come people are hungry in the United States where people who live there are blessed like you?
Mhm. Well, because they just don't have the same opportunity that I received, like my education. You know,
Mhm.
the at least the opportunities from employment to from education to employment.
Mhm.
There are people here in the United States who do not or who did not get those types of opportunities. Maybe they did not seek it, or they just, it's not really equal for everybody.
Mm.
So I myself have witnessed children, especially like in the southeast area of Ohio, who live in remote places, do
Mhm.
not have access to healthy food, nutrition, education, and physical activity. And that's the mission actually of Children's Hunger Alliance. There
Mhm.
are, and we have data to support it. Now, why they don't have the same opportunity like myself or yourself? It's because they probably didn't have the chance to go to school,
Mhm.
or find an employment. It's just so happened that there are just more people who are blessed, more blessed like us. So to me, that's the blessing. I mean, sharing my blessings to others or
Mhm.
asking others. Like today, I was working out in a gym, and I stood on the where the instructor was, and I asked permission to just, plug the Dancing with the Stars this coming Friday as an opportunity. So I was provided an opportunity to dance and raise funds so that I can help provide meals to those who do not have
Right.
this Thanksgiving. So that's the reason why, I'm working so hard to share that, because I have the opportunity to be able to help those people and give them meals. And I would like others. I challenge the community. I challenge those who are viewing this live stream program to be able to really look at this as an opportunity by going to www.dancingwithcolumbusstars.com and
Mhm.
donate. Of course, vote for me. Your donation, your vote for me is your donation to help provide meals to families during Thanksgiving.
Mm. Okay, we will still talk about that more in the course of this edition. Just to let you know that Dancing with our Columbus Stars is coming up, and I guess people are already voting. And we're told that the votes will go to support needy families in this Thanksgiving times. So, quickly, let me take you back to Children's Hunger Alliance, where you work. Uh, I know it's difficult to talk figures, but approximately how many children has that organization fed since its creation?
Yeah, well, I would just give you just this year during the pandemic,
Hmm.
which actually I would say 4 or 5 times more than we have been doing
Hmm.
for the previous years before, again, 2020 when the pandemic hit.
Hmm.
We were able to provide meals for about 9.2 million meals just
Wow.
across the state
Mm,
this year.
mm,
Total from the when the pandemic hits to this year, 9.3 million meals. And it has been so, I mean, the community has provided us with their outpouring support, to knowing that, again, kids were out of school. And sometimes it's really heartbreaking, Ernest, because even before pandemic, we hear stories like kids during weekend, say, and come to school on Monday and would say, "Oh, now I'm able to eat breakfast."
mhm.
And it's their first meal from the weekend. I mean, it's really true. And it's so heartbreaking when you hear those kids, or I will eat after school, on a Friday, we give them meals, thinking that they may not have food during the weekend,
Mm.
you know. So, uh, it's such a heartbreaking union here. And again, coming from a third world country,
Mhm.
I, I didn't realize and expect that
But let me
this
just let me
this
just ask this out of curiosity. Food is what we have to eat every day in order to stay alive, and I mean, it's not just eating once per day. For instance, we should eat at least twice a day.
Mhm.
You have these millions of people you have to feed, which means this has to be continuous. It has to be a continuous exercise. How do you manage this before we even talk about where the resources come from?
Okay. how do we manage? Well, we have staff. Well, actually, our programs with the Children's Hunger Alliance, we have programs that after school programs, which means that we partner with the libraries, we partner with churches, we partnered with parks and recreation, so that after school we provide meals to their kids. They come to those locations, and there are meals that they can eat right there or take home. uh, we partner with St. Vincent here community center for since the pandemic hit, and that's why I said we're essential. We were there distributing this every day, Monday to Friday, distributing meals. Now that's one program, or we call it the after school.
Mhm.
Then summer, when there are no schools, we have also a summer program where we have different locations. We had mobile feeding sites that where we distribute meals as well. So we just finished that this past summer, and we had a tremendous success. And some of our corporate leaders, community leaders, even come and volunteer to help us distribute the meals to the kids. So that's one. The other program that we have is with the family daycare providers. They have to be eligible. Family daycare providers, the kids that they're serving or they're taking care of, they have to be. There is an eligibility requirement, which of course I'm not going to go through. It's pretty extensive, but we help them with their menu planning, and we help them also to get reimbursed for the meals that they provide the kids. Then that's the family daycare and daycare centers, where families take their kids while they work. They have to be eligible too. And again, we help them with menu planning, and we help them to we sponsor them so that they have money to
Mhm.
buy the meals for the children in their daycare centers. So those are the problems. Now, how going back to your statement earlier, how do we find the money? Well, USDA, federal government, USDA passes through that money to Ohio Department of Education. So we
Mhm.
are the largest agency that the Department of Education, Ohio Department of Education, provide support so that we can do again our program. Our mission is provide meals, provide nutritious,
Mhm.
healthy education, physical activity to those kids who do not have access to
Mhm.
these programs.
Okay,
That
we were supposed to have known this before. How do you identify these kids or these families
yeah,
that need
yeah.
your support?
Well, there is an eligibility requirement. It's
Okay.
interesting because, as a matter of fact, some schools that are 50% are eligible, only 10% take advantage of it.
Hmm.
We partner with the schools actually. So they have to be identified as eligible schools.
Mhm.
And so we partner with them. But right now, we're trying to raise that percentage from 10% because 50% are income eligible
Mhm.
basically in some areas. So that's what we do.
Mm. Then let me find out about what you experience on the field doing this. This is a humanitarian effort, which can be compared to what we find in maybe war-torn countries that have been hit by natural disasters, famine, and so on. But the difference is that you are operating in maybe an urban setting. You are not out there in the bush. You're not
Mhm,
out there in the woods or in some
mhm.
desert helping people. So, what is the difference, and what are some of the challenges you face working on the field or effecting this humanitarian effort on the field?
Challenges is that having people helping us to distribute the meals.
Okay.
Challenge is raising funds basically, and really marketing our program to those potential donors,
Hmm.
and so that we can sustain the services that we do.
Hmm.
So that's the reason why we are asking private donors, corporate foundation,
Mhm.
the state of Ohio. As a matter of fact, they are also supporting us, the state of Ohio. But
Mhm.
pretty much, we'd like to increase the private donations
Mhm.
and some corporate donations as well. And we also have grants. We
Okay.
have applied for grants to help us, you know, um, provide these meals again, support us
Mhm.
to have funds to support our services.
You mentioned a follow up a while ago, and I would like to know how that is done. Have you like watched some of these kids who benefit from your program grow up and maybe uh, you know have some
Yeah,
achievements in their
people
lives?
like up to 18 years old. Well, again, it's how we measure it is really the number of kids that we impact, the number of meals now that we distribute.
Mhm.
So, again, like what you mentioned earlier, food is a basic need.
Mm.
So, helping them sustain and and get fed, for what they need,
Mhm.
and hopefully, yes, we as you know, if you are hungry and you didn't eat, it affects your learning. So
Right.
that's the reason why we start with the kids. It affects their learning. It affects their ability to even socialize. Mentally, physically, they have to be able to eat healthy and nutritious food. So, so we address that from that standpoint.
Mhm. She is a civil society actor, activist, depending on how you want to put it. But what she does is she serves the community. And of course, her organization serves children in Central Ohio. She's been doing that. She's guesting this edition of Apex Snapshots on Apex One Radio. Joy Coons-Lewis is her name. The show is Apex Snapshots. The time is 14 minutes past 5 here in the studio. Still to come, we talk about the Byron Sanders
Foundation, yes.
Foundation, which I guess is the organizer of the dance contest, which our protagonist tonight is taking part. But before we get there, let's have this, and I will be right back with you. In the city of Columbus, thank you so much once again for joining us on Apex One Radio. If you are just doing so, 16 minutes past 5 here in the studio. Our guest is Joy Kounns-Lewis. She is a civil society activist who now joins us once again. Welcome back, Joy.
Thank you. Yeah, I like how you say that, social activist.
I know. So let's talk about the Byron Sounders Foundation, which is organizing the dance competition, which you are part of. How are you related with this organization?
Yeah. So one day, actually last year, a friend of mine, she was the chairperson
Mhm.
again of this event. Rhonda is her name, and so she asked me, and I told her, my plate is just so full.
Mhm.
However, and she said, but you'll be good. You will do well with this, and I'm sure with with your dancing skills. Not only that, it's really about my connection and my love and desire to help the community, especially those who are when it's about
Mhm.
hunger space. So after about 2 or 3 times of discussion with her, it's like, okay, I'll do it. You know, so that's how I did that. And there are again the funds raise. It's a fundraising event. It's a fun and fundraising event,
Okay.
and the funds raised are going to be provided to those families who
Mhm.
need meals during Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And the Byron Sanders says their process is, they do food drives
Okay.
again to use the funds that are raised. They collect donations.
Mhm.
They inventory what they have as far as donations are concerned. They
Mhm.
contact, that's the key, they contact families to receive the meals that
Okay.
who are in need. They organize box donations. They pick up meals, and again box meals of boxes, and they distribute them.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that Brian Wallenberg actually is executive director. One thing that he explained to me is that some of us may have some food restriction, or may not eat some of the food that they distribute. So they even give, like, even some for some Asians or some African Americans that may have some just different, or they are what do you call this, gluten free, so they can even give you a gift card to say Whole Food or groceries, so that you can select the food that you can eat. So I think it's just a wonderful, this is their third year actually of having the Dancing with the Columbus Stars event. And most of us, the ones who are competing, like for myself, I'm not a professional dancer, but they pair you partner you with a professional dancer. And I've been practicing, believe it or not, despite my schedule since June,
Mhm.
because I don't want to embarrass myself. So I have to make sure that at least it's going to be worthwhile for
Mhm.
some of my friends and family, and those people watching, to make it at least worth their while. Number one, number two, and the point really is, what give, be generous and give, because this is an opportunity to give, just to as a thank you
Mhm.
for all, again, the blessings, for all that we have, for all the family and friends that we have in our lives. That there are families out there who do not have what we have, who
Mhm.
do not even have meals. So I received this opportunity, I got this opportunity, so I want to share that opportunity to others
Mhm.
who may, who can also share their blessings,
Mhm.
to families that need meals during Thanksgiving.
I'm curious to know why that organization did not use maybe sports or some other thing for this, but why did they choose dance?
That's a good question. I think it's something different. It's something different that, there are already a lot of sports. Even for us, for Children's Hunger Alliance, we have this menu of hope. I just attended about 2 weeks ago for as a cancer support. They have this night of the chocolates. To them, having eight eight contestants, eight pairs can multiply so much, you know, and can really be make the event very compelling for because of their mission. So eight can translate to 8,000 people, 64,000 people. You know, you just multiply it by eight and just the impact. You know, for me, as a matter of fact, I didn't even realize it because where I work out, where I work, where where I volunteer, I tell them about this. And it's very interesting that I didn't even realize that I can be that compelling. I can deliver that compelling message of of just asking them and looking at this as an opportunity, just like how I look at it, that it's an opportunity for me to give and share my blessings. So now I'm giving you that opportunity as well. I'm giving you the opportunity to use this as a way to share your blessings.
Okay,
And
let's quickly talk about this competition. So, who are those participating?
yeah, it's interesting you said that. Again, there are eight of us. I know. I was just talking to one. We have one who is actually he's an anchor reporter for Channel Four, Mike Hershek. You know, one. They mostly they're supposed to be local celebrity. For you to be selected, you're supposed to be a local celebrity in Central Ohio. So different one was a former NFL player. He played with the Patriots, and he's also competing. So about different backgrounds, but yet they have done. They're mostly accomplished people in the community, so that again they can spread the word. So I can look at about the actually the dancers. Um, if if I just if you give me a moment, uh,
Sure.
yeah, to
Meantime, you are listening to Apex One Radio. The show is Apex Snapshots. We are speaking with Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis. She is a civil society activist. Then she is a contestant at the Dancing with Our Columbus Stars, which comes up in the next few days. But then voting is going on. We'll talk about that, and she'll tell you how exactly you can knock in your votes. And remember that each vote goes to support the Byron Sounders Foundation, which will further translate these proceeds into Thanksgiving meals for the needy families in Central Ohio. Over to you.
Yes. So I'd like to talk about. So again, there are eight contestants. One of them is David Key. He now owns the Key Body and Fitness Corporation, and he used to be. He was drafted after graduation to by the New England Patriots in 1991. Then Michelle Haslinger, also she's vice president of commercial banking, and again she's competing. She has a very good background in dancing, excellent. And then we have Christy Bartolo. She works for the Ohio State University as a director of the strategic partnership. That's ag- she's one of my competitors actually. Um, then we have uh, Christy. Then we have Nelly Correvio. She's passionate about women. She's an entrepreneur, and
Okay.
also I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. So I just want to be
I
fair
know. Mhm.
to each one of them. That at least I mentioned them. We have um, Mike, actually Hershek, and
Mhm.
he's a reporter for NBC4. And we have Beverly Anslow, personal trainer. She's a nutritionist, and she was a figure skater champion in the past.
Wow.
And of course, myself. and Maria Caruso
Mhm.
has danced. She has danced in ballroom. Partner with Damon Dillard, who is a founder of TDT Financial. So he's in the financial. So those are the contestants,
Mhm.
and I would just say that we are not the just like the Dancing with the Stars.
Right.
We're not really the professional, but we're partners with
Mhm.
professional dancers. And I'd like to shout out to Cedric Eaton, who is my partner, and he has been so patient with me, teaching me, making sure, correcting my techniques. And Jonathan Roberts, also from the Dancing with the Stars,
Mhm.
um, actually coached me last week, last Wednesday, to make
Okay.
sure I get my steps right. You know,
So how is the voting going on?
what did you say? I'm sorry.
How is the voting? How is the voting going on?
Oh, the voting right now. The last day for sponsorship was last Friday. I'd like to take again a shout out to Sumitra, the today's Child Center, and Marshall Financials, and the uh, Joy of Coaching, and Jimmy V,
Mhm.
who actually sponsored me at the last minute. And
Mhm.
so with the voting so far, I think we're very close to the number one. Number we're very close to the number one, and the voting is still going on. You each you have a chance to vote for me and make me number one. We have till Friday to do
Mhm.
that. So my goal is at least each day to at least
Okay.
get 20-25 folks to vote for me,
Mhm.
so we can win. We got to win, right? It is for families, right?
Right. So now, my understanding is that at some point, you and the other dancers will meet in an event, perhaps in front of an audience, and perform. Am I
Right,
correct?
right.
Right.
We are supposed to perform between 1.5 minute to 3 minutes routine. I will
Okay.
be dancing cha-cha and bachata.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be my number, and that will be on Friday. Doors open at 5:30
Mhm.
at the Valleydale Dance Center. That's on Sandberry this
Okay.
Friday.
Friday. What is the date? Friday,
That's October 1st, the
October
first day of
1st.
October. Let's all have fun
Okay.
and
The
help.
1st of October, the dance will take place. Okay. So what time?
It's five. The doors open at 5:30, and 6 o'clock. 6:30 is the dinner, and
Okay.
there's a dinner provided. So tickets are $75 if you still want to come and buy
Mhm.
tickets online. The the sponsorship is closed, but you can still vote. You can
Mhm.
still vote even up to the day. So if
Okay.
you come and purchase and watch, have dinner, after that is dancing. Lots and lots of fun. Hey, Ernest, I want to see you there.
I will be there.
All
Trust me.
right.
Trust me. So the next question would be, in fact, I should be asking this question to the people of Byron Sounders Foundation, but I don't know if you have any idea of how the two previous editions went. This is the third, you said.
I'm sorry. This is the yes.
So, do you have any idea about how the two previous ones
Oh, the
went?
two previous ones were very successful, and that's the
Mhm.
reason why they are. Of course the last one was right on 2020
Mhm.
when we were still very, even now of course
Mhm.
we don't know what's going to happen, but it was during the pandemic, but they still came live, having that in person,
Mhm.
and it was a very successful. The first was, of course, it was the first, so a little low. But as far as I know, for this third one, as a matter of fact, all the sponsorships, I mean, are sold out. I think there are very, very few tickets left as of this morning.
Mhm.
Very, very few tickets left. So um, it's going to be packed. As a matter of fact, the organizers are very nervous. They didn't realize that how the turnout is going to be, and so far they're getting nervous because it's going to be a packed event. Well, on the other hand, we that's a good thing. We thank everybody for their support. You know.
It's going to be a packed event on October the 1st this year. But then voting is still going on. You can vote now and make sure you are attending that event on October the 1st, run by the Byron's Sounders Foundation. We're speaking with Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis. Now, we're about to run off this conversation, but let me take you back. You've been in this domain, in the hunger domain for a while now. You've been in civil society activism for a while now, working in Central Ohio. How would you assess the work that is done in this domain, in this community, and how much impact is what you've done? How much impact have you had on
You
this
know,
community?
one thing that's kind of like a little bit of disheartening is that in the hunger space, Ohio is number 15 in the country. So we have a lot of work that we need to do. On
Mhm.
the other hand, um, we are, again, the only agency for the Hunger Alliance that help feed children under the Ohio Department of Education. So we're really making a big a positive impact. The
Okay.
same thing with the Byron Saunders Foundation. I remember Brian's story that actually he was working with Byron Saunders, and Byron Saunders started this, and of course he already passed away.
Mhm.
But and realized that there are a lot of families who do not have, I mean, who do not have meals during Thanksgiving, and so he started uh, getting meals, buying meals, and without any, funds, on his own, and then he started to get support from the community, and that's how Brian, who is actually just, you know, almost a volunteer for the Byron Saunders Foundation, that's how he actually got into it.
What has been the reaction from the public, the reaction from the community, from the local government, from the state? What are people telling you about what you are doing?
Well, certainly they're very supportive. They're very happy, and there are more actually corporations that are now, focusing on the hunger space. Focusing on this need.
Mhm.
Uh, it's interesting because, and it's not my space to talk about drug and alcohol, but it's another. Uh, crisis that we're having here in Ohio. And so it does tie with hunger because, again, instead of using the money to feed their kids to buy food, they're using it for drugs and alcohol. So that's, again, show how much work that we need to do, not only addressing that problem, but it's coming from that problem as well. It's one of the root causes of why we have hunger as a problem.
Right. Now, let us end by looking uh, um, at this in a long term. Hunger is definitely not a nice thing, and no one would want hunger to persist. Which means that you would not find pleasure, even though it is your domain. To looks like we've lost her. I don't know if we can have her back. Okay, this is Apex One Radio. We're broadcasting from the United States of America. Our guests will be right back with us. We just lost her on camera. Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis is the protagonist in this edition of Snapshots, which is about to run off. So, in just a couple of minutes, it will be the end of this edition of the show. All right, so we will be right back when we would have listened to this. In Love with Jesus, just for your spiritual entertainment and enhancement. That event takes place on October the 9th here in the city of Columbus. We're sorry for that technical hitch. I guess we are back on the airwaves to run off this conversation we've been having with Joy Coons-Lewis, who is the guest in today's edition of Apex Snapshots on Apex One Radio. And at exactly 12 minutes to 6 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. So now joins us once again. Welcome back, Dr. Joy.
Yeah, we just had a slight technical challenge or difficulty earlier. Sorry about that. But
Thank God
on the
we're
other
back.
hand, actually, as we were trying to fix this problem, I was back and forth communicating with Brian Wallenberg, who is the executive director of the Byron Saunders Foundation. And he just told me that I've been actually doing this for the Byron Saunders Foundation has been around for 24 years.
Wow.
Although the Dancing with the Stars as one of their events has been only 3 years.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. So the last question I was about asking you before we had the technical hitch was to find out what. Okay, let's see. Looks like there's another hold up here. Well, I'll be back with you in just a second.
Sure.
That piece of music there by Tokilala, titled Real Love, has put the time to 10 minutes to 6 here in the studio of Apex One Radio. I guess everything is okay now. So we're back with Dr. Joy Counts-Lewis for this last segment of our conversation. So welcome back, Doctor.
Oh, what is that?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but let me see why the camera again.
Okay.
Sorry about that. But I can hear you. Hold on a
Okay.
second.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess all is fine now. So the last question I was going to ask you before we run off this edition of the show is to is to know first, hunger, like I said, is not something which we would long for. It's a social vice. Every normal human being would want hunger to be prevented as much as possible. And even you who is working in the hunger space would not want to spend your life, working in this domain forever. So at what point do you think that the community you are serving is going to be food sufficient so that you would not have to bother to feed people who are hungry anymore?
I believe there is light at the end of the tunnel. However, it takes a village, to make this happen.
Mhm.
So I don't know when it's going to end. My goal is right now, from what I said earlier, we are number 15. I mean, we
Mhm,
got to be really get to decrease that number and make sure that we are able to really help and decrease the number of hungry
mhm,
people. So it will take the government, it will take a um, corporate organizations, private donors to be able to really see this, provide more employment or training to those, so that to people, so that they can get a livelihood and they
mhm,
can provide these meals to children.
mhm,
It's, I would say it's a revolving cycle, but again, if we can just, instead of being number 15, really not being in that number. My focus is in central Ohio, in the state of Ohio, that we are able to help these people, provide them the resources, like again, training, employment opportunities,
mhm.
livelihood opportunities, so that they don't experience hunger any longer.
Hopefully, at some point, this community would not experience hunger any longer. And we just want to say your organization is doing a wonderful job. It's a noble mission to help people, especially in the hunger space. I want to thank you so much for joining us. But just before we go away, I just wanted to leave some very practical information, to our listeners. First, how do people get to
To
your organization if they want to work with you? And secondly, just close up with the upcoming dance competition, when it is taking place, how people can vote, and uh,
Yes.
any other important information.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, I would like to thank you, Ernest, for this opportunity. And we still have time. You know, Thanksgiving is just around the corner.
Mhm,
And just think about how blessed you are, how blessed we are. And we want to share these blessings. We want to share to those people who do not have. Just think about who do not have meals during this Thanksgiving. And the more giving we are, when we are generous, we can make the positive impact on people who do not have meals. Now, how do you do that? I was talking about my affiliation with Children's Hunger Alliance. Certainly, you can go and help. This is a continuing need that we have. Go to www.children'shungeralliance.org,
mhm,
and there are opportunities to donate there and opportunities to volunteer, help us distribute meals as well. And it's such a good thing for families as well to have this opportunity. There are more fortunate children, and for them to see that there are other children who are going through hunger, it's such a great, it's such a good deed for them to be able to uh, volunteer and share and just help distribute meals, even if they don't donate money. Now, Byron Saunders Foundation has a great mission of providing meals to families who do not have meals for this coming Thanksgiving. And one way, again, is to have this opportunity by donating, by voting. www.dancingwithcolumbusstars.com is coming up. And so please vote for me, because when you vote for me, you really share your blessings and opportunities to those families. The event is this Friday. Doors open at 5:30. And I'm still needing some votes, so to win and to raise more funds, just go to www.dancingwithcolumbusstars.com, scroll on the dancers, and vote for me, Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis and Cedric Eaton, who is my partner. Just click on that. And again, $1 a vote. As a matter of fact, $40 feed for members of the family. So, and so on and so forth. So take this opportunity to help those families in need this Thanksgiving.
Take the opportunity to help needy families during this Thanksgiving by going to www.columbus dancingwithcolumbusstars.com and vote. Okay, so thank you so much. You can also go to children's hunger alliance.org and make your humble donation. Want to thank you so much, Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis, for joining us on the program today. Like I said, yours is a noble mission. We can only say thank you so much, and we hope that you are going to be empowered more by the community so that you can, in turn, empower these young people who are the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you so much
Exactly.
once again.
Thank you. Thank you for making a positive impact in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, and do have a fantastic rest of the weekend. I'll see you at the dance competition on
Certainly.
Friday.
I really look, I'm looking forward to seeing you there, Ernest.
Sure. Thank
And
you so
let's
much.
have fun and help.
Good luck to you, and bye for now.
All right. Bye bye now.
Bye. And so this is how we are putting a full stop to this very special edition of Apex Snapshots on Apex One Radio, which came to you this day, September the 26th, 2021. And of course, which had as guest Dr. Joy Kounns-Lewis. She is a civil society activist, university instructor, and of course, an amateur dancer. She said she's not a professional dancer, but she doesn't just dance for the pleasure of it. She dances so that funds could be raised and children fed, needy families fed during this Thanksgiving. My name is Ernest Kanjo. Collaboration came from Gracee Boycee and Okon Ekpenyong. Marcel Adig produced this edition of the show from Germany. And of course, we will be back again in the course of the week with yet another edition of the show. Until we meet, it is bye-bye, and do have a fantastic rest of the weekend. May God bless you.